Madeline, thank you. And this all comes after here the 23rd day in a row that El Paso has now broken the record for known active cases of COVID-19. Health officials announced the number this morning. It's the number in the purple bar right there. 14,359. We know 2 more people also died from the virus. That brings the death toll up to 585. That is the red number there. And there are 1,128 new cases today. El Paso has surpassed that 45,000 confirmed case mark. That's since the pandemic started. We know another 895 people recovered. The positivity rate, however, has hit an all-time high here as it continues to climb. And the number of coronavirus hospitalizations also went up. It's now over 930 at 934, and that's an all-time high, and still 245 people in the ICU. You can find all this at kvia.com. Now, we just found out the city was planning on holding a press conference to address the spike in cases. However, we just found out that has been canceled after county officials said they were planning a press briefing for 5 o'clock this evening. Now, we will plan to air that press conference live on KVIA and kvia.com, and be sure to download that KVIA News app for free. You get that breaking news just like when these press conferences are going to start. They will be sent directly to your phone. Another sign of El Paso's dire situation, the convention center's new purpose. Yesterday, ABC 7 got a first look inside the El Paso Convention Center as it's converted into a hospital. The Texas Division of Emergency Management provided ABC 7 this video right here you're watching. Its workers set up makeshift medical centers. As previously reported, the convention center will have about 50 beds for non-COVID-19 patients and can expand to 100 more. Here's a picture right here of what the hospital beds look like once they're actually finished. The extra capacity will help hospitals accommodate the growing number of COVID-19 patients.
And it's not just here in El Paso, but the numbers across the country are also troubling.
The U.S. seeing a rise in cases, deaths, and hospitalizations, and now health experts are warning things could only get worse. ABC's Rena Roy has our complete coverage. Well, despite the large number of cases being reported this month, the one number that has not drastically soared is the number of deaths reported. Now, as ABC 7 has previously reported, health authority Dr. Hector Ocarranza said it can take several weeks for epidemiological investigations to be completed. And that's why the current number of deaths under investigation is deeply troubling. Look at this. Today, it now stands at 217. Yesterday was 206. These are people with COVID who have died and who could be added to that health department's death toll if the epidemiological investigation does conclude that the virus was the cause of death. That number has seen a massive increase since the beginning of this month. Take a look at the beginning of that chart. To start the month, there was 97 on that chart here, so that number of deaths could eventually rise. And the Isleta School District now moving forward with high school sports, at least for this week. Now, while most of the borderland school districts have already suspended their seasons for the next 2 weeks, YISD says it feels comfortable moving forward. There's a few reasons here. First, the district's rapid testing program, they say only 3 YISD sporting events are scheduled for this week. So those are 2 reasons. The district says they will evaluate each week whether to have sports or not.
It's possible that the numbers could be exactly where they are at today. Could be worse, could be slightly better. But we'll have to wait and see what some of the other districts decide. But we've always just relied on our data, our science, our math to make these decisions, and that's not going to change.
YISD also made the decision to suspend practices for winter sports, at least for now. And every day, COVID-19 hospitalizations rise here in the borderland, breaking records, pushing hospitals to their limit. Right now, we know 934 COVID-19 patients are in these hospitals. All 3 major hospitals have now set up patient tents to actually expand their capacity. Yesterday, University Medical Center added its 4th patient tent outside to make more room. Chief Medical Officer Joel Hendricks says it can hold about 21 patients. It will be used to triage patients before going into the emergency room. Dr. Hendricks says the other 3 tents are used for transition or care before a patient actually goes home. Now, in order to create even more capacity, Hendricks adds the hospital currently is in the process of converting other rooms into spaces for COVID patients. There's also an off-site location that can hold non-COVID patients if the hospital needs it.
A lot of moving parts in any hospital in particular today. So it's a matter of how we are managing the patients down in our emergency room how we're managing them up on our COVID floors. And we also have regular patients who need care that are non-COVID. So it is multifactorial. We have a lot of nurses that have come in. We've gotten good support from the city, the state, even the federal government on bringing individuals in, nurses, doctors, to help us with this surge, to man these extra beds that we have created.
Well, tents like the ones at UMC have also been installed at Del Sol and the Hospitals of Providence. Supreme Court is rejecting a bid by Pennsylvania Republicans to fast-track a ruling on mail-in ballots. Justices yesterday denied a Republican request for an expedited review. At issue was the state's decision that allows ballots to be counted up to 3 days after the election, even if there's no legible postmark. The Supreme Court's rejection means Pennsylvania's mail-in ballot rule stands. Pennsylvania is a critical state for both President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden, but in a statement accompanying the order, Justices Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch said that it was too close to the election for the justices to step in. And from our New Mexico Mobile Newsroom, it's a company that's been entertaining crowds since 1912, but now due to the pandemic, Allen Theaters is closing its doors until further notice. With locations in New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado, the company says it's going to be laying off about 450 employees. The owner, Russell Allen, says the Telshore 12 drive-in theater in Las Cruces closed on Sunday, and concession sales at the Cineport 10 were discontinued last week. Allen says he is far from alone from having to make these difficult choices, as hundreds of other businesses across the state have been heavily impacted.
The only place, literally, besides New York City in the world that has not been allowed to open. It just came to the point where why are we trying to work around rules that are given to us?
Not expecting his theaters to open again in March of 2021 unless the situation changes before then. And we are just 1 week away from, of course, that important presidential election. But there's an intense campaign also brewing at the Alaska Zoo. A massive brown bear named Mr. Izzy has now taken a strong lead. He's quickly becoming the favored candidate for president of the Alaska Zoo. I mean, I get it. He's a big bear. I'd vote for him. His handler and part-time campaign manager says he's a first-time candidate. However, this election isn't won on votes, but campaign donations.
So it's a fundraiser for us, and every dollar is a vote. So you can vote often, and you can vote a lot.
Now, Izzy is not running unopposed. His main opponent is a hen from the petting zoo named Squishy. He's currently trailing in those polls. I am a fan of the Bears, just not this weekend. My Saints are playing the Bears, so got to go with Squishy there. Hey, stick around. We'll be right back. Final look at that ABC 7 weather forecast right after the break.